So I'm fortunate enough to have always been able to do pull-ups, but I know not everyone's as lucky. So this step-by-step guide is going to show you exactly how to do your first pull-up in 30 days. So I'm going to break this step-by-step guide down into 3 categories. It'll be progressions, technique, and muscles. So the first step is technique, because a lot of people do the technique wrong, so when they practice their pull-ups, they're not getting the right or proper stimulus to progress their pull-ups. Or they're just getting it so wrong that biomechanically, they can't actually complete the pull-up with that technique. For example, if you're trying to do a pull-up like this, then you obviously can't do a pull-up because your head's gonna hit the bar. Obviously that's a bit of an extreme, but you get what I mean. So before I show and explain the correct technique for a pull-up, I'm gonna show you 2 examples, and you guys have got to let me know in the comments which one you think is correct. Well, have you made your guess? Because it was actually technique B. And this is because when you do a pull-up, you don't want to be pulling straight upwards. You want to be pulling up and back, like diagonally. So as if you're doing a straight bar lat pull down, you wouldn't pull straight down, you would lean back a bit and pull down to your hips to get your elbows into your pockets. So that's the same form you think about. And I guarantee you, most of you aren't doing that. Most of you are doing this and pulling up. And that means your elbows get stuck by your lats and you can't complete a full rep. But if you pull down to your pockets, you can get even higher. And when you get really good at pull-ups, you can then progress even easier to a muscle up. So the first step is grip. When you grip, you want an overhand grip, not an underhand grip, because this is a chin up, that's a pull-up. If you want to, keep your thumbs in like this. If not, you can do what's called a suicide grip. That's exactly the grip I do. And I find it a lot easier instead of having my thumbs in. And your hands should be a shoulder width grip apart on the bar, so just above your head. So when you're hanging off the bar, you don't want your arms to be really wide like this. And you also don't want your arms to be super close like this, so you're squeezing your ears. Right, so let's talk about the actual execution of a pull-up. So when you start your pull-up, you want to have your arms fully extended like this. You retract your shoulder blades like this. This is called scapular retraction. And if you want to avoid swinging, you can cross your legs or slightly bend your legs. So for the pulling portion, you want to think about pulling your elbows down to your ribs, focusing on your lats contracting and keeping your chest up high like this. And when you get to the top of the movement, don't jut your chin over the bar like this. Not only does it look stupid, it also takes tension off of your back muscles. You might not realize that whilst you do it, but it does. And like I said, when you get to the top, your chin should easily clear the bar. You should squeeze your shoulder blades together like this. And then to finish your rep, slowly lower yourself down and allow your arms to fully extend again. And that will complete the rep. A key point during that portion is to actually slowly lower yourself down and feel your lat stretch. You will feel it if you're doing it properly. If you're just dropping like this, not only are you going to brutally ruin your shoulders, you're going to get no stretch on your lats at all until you get to the bottom, and it's going to be a quick, sudden stretch. You don't want that. You want it to be long, slow, and controlled. So piecing all of them movements together, it should look something like this. Now I'm going to give you 3 bonus tips. The first one being breathing. You want to breathe in as you're going up and exhale as you're coming down. You want to keep your core engaged throughout the whole movement. That'll help stop you swinging. On the topic of swinging, you don't want to be kipping, which is very similar to swinging, except you're using the momentum to get yourself up like this. You might see it a lot in CrossFit, things like that. But if you actually want to do a proper pull-up, a strict pull-up, do not kip. And some common mistakes when people are trying to do pull-ups, or they can do pull-ups and just pumping the reps out, is again, swinging. You want to maintain control across the whole movement to make sure you don't swing. Over-reliance on your arms. They think about they're just pulling with their arms. But realistically, you want to think about your lats and your back, because that will actually help you engage your muscles during the pulling movement. And it will actually make the pull-up a heck of a lot easier. And the last mistake a lot of people make when doing pull-ups is not completing a full rep. You want to fully lock out your arms and fully get your bar over the chin without jutting your chin forward. And then that will actually complete the whole movement. And finally, some visualization cues that I love. You want to think about pulling the bar down to your hips instead of you pulling yourself up. That really helps me. Think of it like a lat pull down. Really, really beneficial when it comes to trying to improve your reps in terms of form or just the amount of reps you're doing. And think about trying to squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades when you're coming up. Really helps the contraction of your upper back, and again, keeps your whole form controlled. Right, so that's proper technique and form covered. Now let's talk about progressions. So progressions will include things like partial reps, so components of the pull-up that you can focus on, or other tools to make the pull-up easier for different portions so you get used to the full movement and gradually build up your strength and work towards a full pull-up. So let's get stuck into the progressions because we've got plenty to get through. The first one being scapular pulls. So if you remember earlier, I spoke about before you start your pull-up, you need to shrug your shoulders down and contract your back muscles together. And this is the portion we're going to work on for this progression. And it literally just looks like this. Doing scapular pulls will help you to activate your upper back muscles and keep your upper back stable. So the next progression is dead hangs, and most of you should be aware of what dead hangs are, but usually the use of dead hangs is to decompress your spine. However, that is not what we're using them for today. Using dead hangs as a progression towards pull-ups will help you with your grip. So if you're getting to the strength point where you can do 10, 15, even more pull-ups than that, you need a decent grip. So doing dead hangs for the same amount of time that it would take you to do pull-ups will mean you can actually hold your grip long enough to complete the full pull-ups. So in case you're not aware of how to do a proper dead hang, this is exactly what you do. And you should feel it stretch right down your lats. And you want to actually be aware of you holding the bar. You don't want to just hold it and let your fingers slip. The whole point is to work on your grip. So if you're able to hold that bar as tight as you can, you're going to be so much more better off in the long run in terms of your grip, as opposed to if you just hold and let your fingers slip. Right, so the third progression is assisted pull-ups. Usually people use resistance bands, but there are some gyms that have assisted pull-up machines where you put your knees on the pads, set a certain weight, and then you do the pull-ups like normal, because that reduces your actual body weight in terms of the amount of weight you're pulling. So if you have that machine, make the most of it. If not, resistance band over the top of the bar. Now, if you really can't even get halfway up of the pull-up, you might need a bit of a stronger resistance band. But if you're struggling just to get up the top, then it takes a bit of your weight off, and then you can just use a lighter resistance band like this, for example. I'm gonna show you how to do it. Some people, if you've got a really stretchy resistance band, you can put your foot in it and then do the pull-ups like that. If not, just put one knee in, two knees in, whatever suits. Just be careful that when you're taking the resistance band off, that it doesn't slide in between your legs and slap you in the middle. That would not be nice. So doing assisted pull-ups will help you get used to doing the full range of motion with a lot less weight. And they're very useful because you can gradually decrease the resistance, and at one point you will eventually be able to do at least one pull-up with no help. Right, so the next progression is negative pulls, and this will help you control and build strength in the lowering phase of the pull-up. But not only that, obviously it will also help build overall strength for your lats. So you'll get closer and closer to being strong enough to do a full pull-up. And this is how it looks. But obviously, if you're not quite able to jump up to the bar, so where you're chin height, get a step on it, grab the bar at chin height, so where you would finish the pull-up in the upwards phase, and then slowly lower yourself down. The next progression, which is quite similar to the negative pull-up, is a jumping pull-up. So you'll use momentum to start the first portion of the pull-up, and then same with the negative pull-up, you'll slowly lower yourself down again to a dead hang. But this time, you start with your hands on the bar, and you push yourself up to finish the rep, like this. And again, this gets you used to doing a full range of motion, but gives you a little bit of assistance at the start. And the final progression is inverted rows, and we need to head over to the squat rack for this one. So like I said, this one's inverted rows, and you want to set the bar up on the squat rack at hip height. And all you're essentially doing is getting underneath the bar, leaving your heels to touch the floor, and rowing like you would normal barbell row. Right, so now you should be fairly confident in the technique of a pull-up and how to progress towards doing a full pull-up. So now let's talk about the muscles used during a pull-up and how to strengthen them. Right, so the first and probably the main muscle that is involved during a pull-up is the lats. Your lats create the main motion of a pull-up, which is pulling your elbows down to your hips. That is your lats' primary function. And I don't mean your lats' primary function is to do a pull-up, but your lats' primary function is to bring the elbow down to the side of the body. So the two exercises I think that are the best to build strength in your lats are the lat pull down and the seated cable row. Right, so the next most important muscle to build to do a full pull-up are your biceps, because their primary function is to flex at the elbow. And obviously there's no possible way to do a full pull-up without bending your elbow. So my two favorite exercises to build the strength for your biceps are seated incline curls and standing dumbbell curls. Just a quick one. If you want to know how to grow your biceps in size and strength using 5 studies of science, click the card at the top of this video or click the link in the description and it will take you straight to it. Sorry, get back to it. So the next most important muscle you need to improve to get you closer to doing that full pull-up are your rhomboids. If you remember what we spoke about doing scapular pulls and retracting your shoulders at the start of the movement, that is what your rhomboids are responsible for. So my two favorite exercises to enhance your rhomboids are face pulls and reverse flies. Now the last, but definitely not the least important muscle to help improve your pull-ups are your traps. And again, this muscle is involved in lifting your shoulders up or shrugging. And if you remember this movement, that's exactly what your traps do, as well as your rhomboids. So my two favorite exercises to improve my traps are shrugs and upright rows. Right, so let's quickly recap. If you've watched all the way to the end of this video without skipping, you should now know the proper technique to do a pull-up, the progressions you should use to get you towards doing a full pull-up rep, and the muscles involved and how to strengthen them. If you did skip the video, or you need a reminder, use the chapters at the bottom of the video on the timeline to give yourself a little recap. I just wanted to take this time to say thank you to you lot. Anyone that's subscribed, anyone that hasn't subscribed but has watched the video and learned something from it, I really, really appreciate you lot. Videos recently have been blowing up massively and I cannot express the love I want to give you lot, because it's just a great feeling knowing that all the work I'm putting into these videos are getting benefited from by other people. So I want to say a big thank you to all you lot. But on that note, if you haven't subscribed, which a massive chunk of you are not, click the subscribe button underneath the video, smash the thumbs up and click the bell icon so you don't miss a video. And feel free to let me know in the comments what videos you want to see, any questions you have, or just what you want to know about me. I always reply to comments, you lot know that already. But anyway, that's all from me. I love you guys lots and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.